Hello guys, today we're going to talk about self-sabotage. This is part 6 of my self-sabotage series, and today it's going to be about negative emotions and how they run your life. We have to look at that each negative emotions we get, if we don't know how to interpret it, a single challenge can become a chronic issue in your life. When we can identify what is triggering us is in life, we can use that as a catalyst for a positive change in our own life. And this is what we're going to look at, the different negative emotions that my viewer has run into, and we're going to kind of identify and how we can interpret each emotion. And in terms of interpreting our negative emotions, it's not just about getting over them, it's about listening what they have to tell us about our experience. For example, we have anger as the first one. Anger helps us show us who we are and what we care about. This is also where we begin to set our boundaries, because we get angry about something and what we find to be unjustified in the world. Also, anger is trying to initiate action. This is what it's actually done to do. So it's actually a peak stage before we change our lives. And normally we think that anger is projected onto somebody. No, it's actually internal motivation to us to actually change for the better. And anger is also one of those things where it's motivation to change what needs to be changed in your life. You become angry at your own life. And this is really powerful. Also, it helps you seeing where your limits and your priorities are clearly. Also, what it can do is it can help us change big things in our own life and the world around us. This is also something anger can do. Because let's say you're angry at how the political system is, or how the microplastics are destroying our world, whatever it is, you can become angry at something, and this is what you can use in order to change the world. It's a really powerful emotion. Just understand that it should not be projected upon others. It's more an internal motivation to get things done. The next one we have is sadness. You have felt it, I have felt it, everyone has felt it. It is normally an aftermath of a disappointment, such as like a loss of relationship, your first love. It can be a disappointment of your career. It can also be a disappointment about what you thought your life would be, and this can become sadness. Let's say you went to the university for 5 years and you got a job, and you thought that going to university and getting this job will fix everything in your life. But when you actually get into the job, it didn't happen, and this is a big disappointment. Sadness only becomes problematic when you don't release it. You have to release it, and if you don't allow yourself to go through the natural phases of grief, it's going to be really bad, because it's going to be stored in your body. And the thing about sadness is that it doesn't happen all at once. It happens randomly in waves, and this could be throughout days, it could be throughout weeks, and it's very different from person to person how they feel sadness and how often it comes and in what kind of waves. And that's why if you and another person gets a grief in your life, you might not actually handle it the same way, because you experience it differently and you get it in different waves. What we have to understand is that crying at the appropriate times is a sign of mental strength. So let's say maybe it's not the best idea to cry when you're at work or different places where you probably shouldn't do it. But let's say if you're alone or you go for a walk in the forest, whatever it is, let out these emotions, because if you do that, will feel much better, because otherwise it will just get stored up in your body. And actually crying is a sign of mental strength. You have to come to terms with that if you go into a grief stage in your life, you have to release the feelings at some point. You have to do that. They will become stored in your body. The next one is guilt, and the fact that you maybe sometimes feel guilty that you have done wrong things to other people is actually a good sign. This just means that you're empathetic and you're actually sorry for what you did. And guilt requires us to look deeply at our behaviors. So if we have done something wrong to different people, we get this guilt feeling that something is wrong. And then you have to look deep within yourself and ask yourself, what is it actually that I did wrong about this person? Did I say anything bad about it or whatever? And mostly the people that are very nice and just like to help people and please people and stuff like that, they sometimes get guilty a lot because they always wonder about, oh, did I do something wrong? Or, oh, I'm so sorry. Whereas other people might not feel guilt as much as you do. And a bad thing is that if you have generalized guilt, and this is when it's not relating to one incident, it's when you passively basically feel guilty all the time. And then you have to look closely at who has maybe said to you that you was wrong or you did something and made you feel guilty. You have to look deep within and ask yourself, who did that? And this guilt often stems from childhood, and actually a child can have the generalized guilt throughout their whole life without them even knowing. They will always have this kind of hat on themselves all the time where they just feel guilty or let like people look wrong at them and stuff like that because they know deep within themselves that they feel guilty, but that stems somewhere. So ask yourself, if you feel like always people look weird at you or you feel this kind of guilt, ask yourself, where could that stem from? It's most likely from your childhood. Basically feels like we are burdens to people around us, that sometimes we're not like good enough, or like we just are always the black sheep in the family. This is guilt. The next one is embarrassment, and we have to understand that embarrassment is not something that other people put upon us. It's actually something we make ourselves embarrassed because they can't make us embarrassed. It's only you that can feel like you're embarrassed. And a quick way to actually stop being embarrassed or doing it less is actually by being completely confident that you are doing your best to your ability in terms of whatever it is that you're doing. Because if you feel like you're actually doing the best that you could do and there's nothing you could do to actually have done better, you shouldn't be embarrassed about something. Like, yeah, there might be some awkward moments or whatever it is, but you did the best you could do in the situation you were been in. So don't blame yourself for becoming embarrassed. Shame is actually the shadow side of embarrassment, and this is where that we begin to kind of condemn ourselves and we begin to kind of see ourselves as worthless. And shame is basically embarrassment but it just happens all the time, and we just condemn ourselves as human beings and we say that we are worthless or be invalid, we can't do anything right. The next one is actually really fun to actually learn about. This is jealousy, and you have felt it many times in your life. Jealousy, the funny thing about jealousy is that it's actually a cover-up emotion. What jealousy actually is that it's not anger or judgment towards others. It's actually sadness deep within ourselves and self-dissatisfaction. The good thing about jealousy is actually it tells you somewhat what you want from life. So if you're jealous of somebody, on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever it is, and you are still jealous of this type of person, and they live a specific lifestyle or they're doing something, the reason why you're jealous is because they have allowed themselves to pursue that kind of life. But maybe you're stuck in school, but they allowed themselves to pursue that. They maybe took that risk, and you're jealous of them because they took the risk but you didn't. Sometimes we actually end up condemning them to justify our own action. So let's say you're doing everything you want to do in your life, but you're still jealous of some people, right? We condemn them to justify our action. But what it is that does that is that when you condemn people that have what you want, basically, it sets up a barrier for you to do the same, because now you condemn them. And if you're going to do it, going after the same thing as they're going after, you will subconsciously feel like that other people are condemning you because you are now doing or pursuing the life that you want. Actually, instead, see it instead as something that you would also like to create and go for it. You can create the life that you want. You have to take the decision and go for it. It might be scary, it might be risky, it might take a lot of time, but is it worth it in the end? If the answer is yes, go for it. The next one is resentment, and is almost a little bit like jealousy. And what it actually is a projected regret. So it tells us what other people should change, basically. So if you resent somebody, you're like, I want them to change because they're always so positive. I always want them to change because, or my family member is so annoying, or whatever it is, and I have resentment to them and they should change. But you have to understand, the thing about the world is that people have absolutely zero obligation to live up to our ideas of how they should live their life. So if your partner is not doing what you want to do, and she's always, or he is always on your nerves and stuff like that, you have no obligation to, they have to live up to what your version of them should be like. They don't have to do that. And how we can change this is actually we must reinvent how we see those around us, the image of them, our family and friends. So we always feel like they're annoying, you know, those brothers, they're annoying, or whatever it is. We have to change the image to make it something better, so we can stop resenting them, because it will never lead to anything that more than just negative emotions, and you know, that's never good in a family or between friends. What we need to do is that we just need to see them for the role they are meant to play in your life, and they have to choose their own role. You can't change people. You can only change yourself or lead by example. The next one is regret. How do we interpret this? What regret really shows is that what we need to create or change going forward. So if you have regretted wasting 2024, if you really truly have regretted that, it shows us that you need to change something. You need to create something different going forward. That's really what it shows you. Also, something else that it can show is that what we really care about, to do before we're going to die. This is really powerful. So think about, when you're on your deathbed, what is it truly that you care about, that you want to do before you're dead? And go do it. So let's say if throughout your whole life that you didn't travel quite a lot, but you want to do that, do it now. It shows you literally that if you regret that you didn't do it, you just have to do it now. Bad choices, bad diet, bad habits, make different ones now. Because if we regret something, that means that we know we can do better and we want to do better, and we have this inner feeling of we should do better. Let's say you didn't love a person while you still had them in your life. That means that probably you should appreciate people more in your life right now. Give your mom or dad a hug. Write to that one friend. Whoever it is, appreciate them, because you don't know how long you have them, and that's just a sad reality, but truly appreciate the people around you. The next one is chronic fear, and this is when we return to fearful thinking. But it's actually not because there's any threat in front of us. But what it really is, chronic fear, is that either we have some underdeveloped internal response systems to things that are happening in life, or you have chronic fear because of some trauma from earlier in your life. And this you have to understand if you have it or not, because this can really annoy your life and really destroy your life, this chronic fear. Chronic fear, what it really is, that it's a way of protecting ourselves from a potential threat. So if we always have awareness about that we have a chronic fear, as long as we have that, we cannot be surprised in our life by a potential threat, because now it's within our control, because we won't get surprised by it. And this is the way of always kind of keeping it close, so you won't get sidelined by it or surprised. But when you always think about it in the back of your head, and if you never let it go, you will always feel like some kind of control over it. But what it really is just destroying your life, because you're not ready for it if it actually happens. So now you just have this imaginary thinking about that if it's going to happen, I know exactly how to do it, I know exactly how to control it. But this is really, really bad, because you're going to do this every single day, and it's going to tap your mind from a lot of energy. The only way we can truly stop chronic fear is that we have to stop battling with it. The only way through is going through it. That's the only way of getting over chronic fear. So you have to stop battling, resisting, and avoiding it, and just say that if it happens, it happens. And just shrug with your shoulders and just say, whatever happens, it just happens. And the thing about chronic fear is that nothing can ruin our lives more than we do by our own thinking. So think about it, how many thoughts we have every single day. And all of those thoughts, how many of them actually become a reality? Let me just say this about this one quote, is that we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. And really ponder upon that, is that we don't actually suffer that much in real life. Most of the stuff are in our head, and you have to kind of see that for what it is. But if you can allow yourself to be in the moment, like really breathe and just meditate and go for walks and just be present, if you do that, trust me, you will be less fearful about the future. And just take one day at a time, because the future, it has not been made yet. It's going to be made in the future, but it has not been made yet. So there's no reason to worry about it. And I know you might sit out there and just say, yeah, but I worry because. But the future hasn't even been materialized yet. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. You don't know if you're actually going to be, maybe you're going to be the person that actually can handle those things in the future. But if you keep on being anxious about it, it might happen actually those things, and you just tense up and you just worry, and it'll just tap from your energy and your mood and everything like that, and you will feel down a lot. Get out of your head, because a lot of the times it's just your head messing with you. Trust me, I've been there. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and let me know if there's anything that has helped you or has made you think differently about all of these things. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see, and just press the sub button and like, and just comment whatever you want, and let me know if there's anything you want me to do better. And yeah, Merry Christmas, goodbye.